partnership with parents and the community, Birmingham Public Schools will provide an educational excellence that empowers students to cultivate their individual brilliance and positively impact the world.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight is Tuesday, October 15th, and this is the meeting of the Birmingham Board of Education. Our first order of business is roll call. Tracy?
Trustee Ajaluni?
Present.
Trustee Holcomer?
Here.
Trustee Joseph?
Here.
Trustee McKinney?
Here.
Trustee Rass?
Here.
Trustee Spencer?
Here.
Trustee Zaman?
Here. Thank you, Tracy. Trustee McKinney, would you please read our vision and board norms?
Sure. Our vision is all students in Birmingham will realize their full potential, think critically, and champion an innovative tomorrow. Our board norms are be respectful and reflective, be prepared, no surprises, ask questions and seek to understand opinions, assume positive intent, understand and respect the role of the trustee.
Thank you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Roberson for tonight's recognitions.
Good evening. At our last board meeting, we had the opportunity to celebrate the national semifinalists from both Seaholm High School and Groves High School as well, and we celebrated 5 students. This month, we have the opportunity to celebrate 2 of our semifinalists from the International Academy, and one of them is here with us today. If I can have Sebastian Hernandez come up. So we are thrilled to honor Sebastian Hernandez and Wesley Billings, who couldn't be here tonight, as National Merit Semifinalists. Sebastian and Wesley are students at the International Academy, and this prestigious recognition highlights their exceptional academic achievements, dedication, and hard work. As National Merit Semifinalists, Sebastian and Wesley stand among the top students in the country, demonstrating a commitment to excellence that is truly inspiring. 16,000 semifinalists are selected annually, representing the top 1% of PSAT test takers. We are incredibly proud of their accomplishments and look forward to celebrating their continued success. And I've been knowing Sebastian for a long time. He was a Harlan student, so I have the pleasure of knowing him throughout his endeavors. So please give him a warm congratulations.
Congratulations, Sebastian.
Congratulations. What an achievement.
I'm going to now ask Principal Peterson from Groves High School to come up, and he has recognition for 2 of our Groves High School students.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Robertson. Good evening, esteemed board and cabinet. I would like to, as the proud principal of Groves High School, recognize 2 outstanding students, Sophia Marks and Lindsay Kennedy. Sophia is a senior at Groves High School, and she is participating in a life research in the EcoTek lab in Detroit. She has been selected as the top medical intern for the M2P2 program. Sophia is dedicated to being the best at everything she does. She plays the viola. Her high school GPA is 4.5, and she earned a 1540 on her SAT, which put her in the 99th percentile in the U.S. for the 2024 spring testing. She didn't want me to read that, but that is quite impressive. Sophia's time management skills, organization, attention to detail have put her in a great position as she continues or enters her senior year in high school. Then the 2024-25 school year in EcoTek lab, Sophia will be doing research in neuroscience to help identify genetic biomarkers and environmental health factors that may cause dementia and Alzheimer's disease. She will also spend time in the lab learning how to measure the concentration and effectiveness of active compounds found in over-the-counter memory-enhancing supplements. Sophia is continuing the legacy of many talented alumni of the EcoTek lab program that are now working in the medical field as physicians, physician assistants, neurologists, biomedical researchers, RNs, medical assistants, epidemiologists, and healthcare advocates. The other student that I am proud to announce is Lindsay Kennedy, and Lindsay is joined by her mother, Andrea Collins, who's a teacher who works as a social worker over at Derby. Lindsay is also a senior at Groves High School, and she's also participating in the EcoTek lab in Detroit. She maintains almost a 4.0 weighted GPA. As well, she's enrolled in numerous advanced placement courses, as well as balancing a variety of extracurricular activities. During the 2024 school year, Lindsay also participates in the EcoTek lab, where she will be researching a specific problem in current scientific research and hypothesizing ways to remedy the problem. The high-level research that she is conducting is typically found at the collegiate level and beyond. Lindsay has shown the intellectual ability and acumen to tackle these challenges in high school and accelerate her learning in the scientific research community. Lindsay will also continue the path of the many talented alumni of the EcoTek Lab program that are now working in the medical field. So again, as your proud principal of Girls High School, please join me in congratulating these young students for their accomplishments.
Amazing.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Can I have you come around here and take a picture?
Mama, you can come up and take a picture if you want. This is really a proud moment.
Hold up, I'm on as well.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Also, school
Beautiful, wonderful.
Congratulations.
You do Birmingham School District proud, ladies.
Thank you. And that ends our recognition for this evening. Thank you.
Trustees, are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay, thank you. I will now turn this over to Dr. Roberson for her superintendent's report. Congratulations again, thank you.
So for my superintendent's report, first I want to congratulate the Groves and Seaholm men's tennis team. They tied for first place in the regional match and will be going to states, I believe, Thursday in Kalamazoo, so we wish them the best of luck. And ironic that both of our teams will be first place, but that's wonderful. Also just wanted to share there are 2 candidate forums coming up. The League of Women Voters will be hosting a candidate forum for our board seats here at the EAC October 16th at 6 p.m. As well, PTA Council will be hosting a candidate forum October 21st at 7 p.m. in the Groves Little Theater. This week, I also will have my first coffee and conversation for the year, and that will be at the Krieger House from 5:30 to 7 in Franklin. We have some good news that you'll see later on in the agenda when we look at our state assessment results. As you know, as a board, one of the some of the projects that we have been working on over the last 2 years have really focused on K-8 literacy and mathematics. So not only choosing a new mathematics program, piloting a current literacy program, but also looking at our multi-tier system of support. And although our schools have been participating in MTSS, which is multi-tier system of support, for a while, this process is making sure that we have a really systemic district-wide focus. And so what is exciting is that you'll see later on is that that has paid off in terms of our scores for the 24 testing season. And so I'll just tease that up a little bit, but we're really excited on where we landed and seeing the fruits of our labor at this time. So that ends my report.
Thank you. Trustees, is there any board comment before we go to public comment?
I would just add that the Groves boys football team seems to be doing pretty awesome. They're currently undefeated, and I think they're inching their way to a championship this year.
I think Seaholm has only lost one game.
Oh,
So have a little balance,
Yes.
but no, they both are doing
It's okay.
very well.
Yes.
Anything else?
and they play each other.
Oh, in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I could add that the boys Seaholm soccer team had a wonderful season. It unfortunately ended last night as they were knocked out of districts, but they did such a great job. So congratulations to Seaholm boys soccer team. Love you, Mama. Luca?
I just have 2 updates. The annual meeting for the Birmingham Youth Assistants is this Thursday morning. Dr. Robertson, I believe, is speaking. It's at 8 a.m. at Midvale. And then the Birmingham Education Foundation Bash is the first Saturday in February. Tickets are going to go on sale December 1st. Early bird will close right the day that school gets out. So it'll be at the Daxton again, and they're going to, it's focusing on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory theme, kind of similar to what Groves is doing for their musical. So just a few updates from BEF and BYA.
Oh, I do have one quick update. This past Saturday was the SOS 5K Strides Run. And I heard. I was not able to be there, but as usual, the community rallied, and despite the fact that I think the weather wasn't quite as nice as it could have been, we raised $30,000.
Wow.
All of which goes directly back to help families within our community who are in temporary need of financial and volunteer assistance. So, thank you to all the community.
About GRC?
Sure.
Okay. So I was able to attend the monthly GRC meeting for October, and due to the elections, there wasn't really much going on because people are busy campaigning. But what is on the legislative priorities are still the mental health and the school safety and the local control. And the main presentation was about like the recent activity in the legislation. So recently the governor signed a bill which would lower the MPSERS rates to by 5.75 and eliminate the 3% mandatory retiree health payment for employees starting fiscal year 2026. And she is expected to sign the literacy dyslexia legislation soon. So that's the next big thing. And of course, the mental health school safety funding, she's also expected to sign that, which is sponsored by Representative Regina Weiss, and adding $129 million to the improvement of mental health and student safety.
Thank you, Trustee Joseph. Anything else, trustees? No. Seeing nothing else, we'll move into public comment, and I will read our guidelines for public comment. Because the Birmingham Board of Education values public meetings, not just meetings in public, we welcome public comment on school issues. Most comments can be concisely stated in 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks that comments remain focused on the topic or issue and not on specific personnel. We welcome your comments, but cannot discuss nor debate items not on the agenda. When asked to discuss non-agenda items, we can share facts but not engage in discussion. We need to follow laws regarding public notice on issues and be aware that other community members may have interest in the topic but without proper notice may not be present to contribute. So with that, I invite Amy Voigt to the podium.
Good evening. Once again, I come before the board to make public comment about the disparagement of public school teachers and their employers. The objective of the October 9 Detroit News opinion editorial written by Caitlin Buss was to expose the community to the idea that educators, specifically Birmingham Public Schools educators, are, quote, free to refer a student to an abortion or assist a student in getting one under Democratic-led changes to the School Aid Act, and they don't have to tell her parents. Let's talk about these two ideas through a lesson about field trips. If a teacher decides to take a student or a group of students anywhere at any time off campus, they need to request and complete a field trip form from a school administrator. In writing, the teacher requests that they describe the trip, the learning goals, the cost, the method of transportation. Teacher signs the form. Building Curriculum Council, Ed Council has to sign off on it, administrators as well, and applicants must comply with 3 board policies: distribution of materials, solicitation of funds, conflict of interest, and chaperones must complete a background check. Then there are 15 additional steps to complete: an I-18 for substitutes, keeping the signed permission slips for a year, arranging with attendants. Even if teachers wanted to take a student for a Slurpee, compliance is required. Without it, the teacher's job will be in jeopardy. The 9-page-long Michigan Code of Ethics with 104 ethical standards certainly covers the conduct of educators. It seems like the dramatic, and they don't have to tell her parents, in Ms. Buss's article is already covered. Anyone who knows anything about education would know that. Given that, the good news is that Birmingham students are learning better writing skills. While Ms. Buss uses Caledonia Public Schools as an example of a district that voted to keep the abortion restrictive language, I'd like to remind the board and the public that in the state of Michigan, Niche ranks Seaholm number 16, Groves number 7, and Caledonia 138. And since it's college application time, let's remember from a writing standpoint that air quotes are not indicative of actual research. Ms. Buss puts quotation marks around a caveat next to Miller Johnson attorney Kevin Sutton's name. This does not negate the fact that he actually is a legal expert who attended Case Western University. And when one is sharing information to a news writer to rather obviously use the logical fallacy of loaded diction to dog whistle one's troops, it is best not to juxtapose 2 incongruent ideas side by side. In other words, in the same article, in the same sentences, she came right after LGBTQ students. Do not accuse educators of attempting to, quote, drive a deeper wedge between parents and their kids to push radical ideologies and act in place of parents on life-altering decisions. I believe if we follow the law, there's no need to add rules that don't exist. You're a nonpartisan board. I remind you that spreading innuendo and uneducated falsehoods is an anti-public school tactic used by those who would spread fear, hate, and division. Moms for Liberty would support it. Educators believe and trust that parents have a relationship with their students, and the board should do the same. Thank you.
Next up is Lauren Sherman.
Never again. How do we as a community get to never again? First, we take every case of Jew hatred seriously. Second, we educate our students and staff why we say never again. What we don't do is kick them out without future education. What Birmingham Schools does is remove the student and say, problem fixed. What this administration and board does is run from the problem. Remove the student, say everything's good. I'm here to tell you that is not never again. You may recall I was here at the last meeting. I wish to say I could say thank you for hearing what I said to you, but I can't. You see, I received a message from the board secretary that confirmed I was here and that you were here, but unfortunately, what I said was not heard. This board waited 9 days to contact me and then decided the first day of Rosh Hashanah, one of the holiest days of the year, was the best day to reach out. Really? Even after the apology for allowing homecoming to occur on Rosh Hashanah at Seaholm by email, you still haven't learned that the Jewish holidays can be found on Google going forward for many, many years. The writer of the email said he will learn from his mistakes. Clearly, the district hasn't learned anything. Neither has this board. I say I'm disappointed would be an understatement. Appalled would be closer, but still pretty mild for the lack of good faith understanding that you show the students, parents, and residents of the community you're supposed to serve. To address my complaint, when I spoke to the board members since the last meeting, I was told that Dr. Roberson investigated my complaint back in the spring. She found there was no validation of my complaint. Funny that the investigation did not entail talking to the people who witnessed the incident. But it gets better when you learn that the BPS attorney said Dr. Roberson was unaware of my complaint, and it was never investigated. So which is it? It was not anti-Semitism, or you're surprised to hear that there was anti-Semitism from a BPS employee? Now you want your attorneys to investigate, but you already did, right, Dr. Roberson? Or did you try to bury it in hopes it would go away? But Dr. Roberson, I'm here,
Mr. Sherman, we cannot.
and you
have
never
shared
spoke with me and no one else who witnessed the incident. So it seems to me we should believe the BPS attorneys that no investigation occurred. If you find the recent Governor Whitmer video with the Dorito disturbing,
Sherman,
then you
Mr.
should just
Sherman,
be as disturbed
clearly,
that actions
in
of this
our board
administration.
comment Guidelines, you are
Never
disparaging
again means we don't tell a Jewish
staff,
person
and you are
that
out of line.
they know
Your
better than
comments are
anyone
ended.
else
Close the mic,
for their
please.
actions.
Close the mic.
Never again means we don't.
Mr. Sherman, your time is finished.
Your time is up, and you have absolutely violated public comment laws.
Mr. Sherman,
Thank you, Mr. Sherman.
your public comment's over. Thank you. Next, I invite Amy Wagner to the stand, please.
Good evening. I'm Amy Denise Wagner, and I am the proud parent of 4 BPS students. I am also the president of the Teachers Association. I'm actually here for 2 happy reasons. One, I have some friends in the audience that are going to talk to you about Lincoln Street Alternative High School. And I invited them here today because as I've been in this job now, this is my 5th year, I've been able to see some of what they do in their program, talk to them, and learn a little bit more about Lincoln Street. And so I know they're here tonight to share something specific with you about what they do there. But I wanted to be sure that if you haven't been to Lincoln Street recently, I know they've had some renovations done, and they do such amazing things down there. And I will tell you, when you walk into Seahome and go down to the lower level where they are located, it's almost like this sense of calmness. So again, if you haven't visited there recently, I ask that you do so. And again, they're going to share a little bit more about what they're doing there as well. So I'm glad I got to go before them. The second reason I'm here today is because last year we took some mascots to the Birmingham Farmers Market and paraded them around and did a little public relations for Birmingham Public Schools. And we're doing that again this year. The Birmingham Farmers Market is, the last one is October 27th. It's a Sunday. And we will be there with as many mascots as we can muster and get kids inside of on that day from 11 to 1. We are also attempting to participate in the Beverly Park Halloween Hoot this year as well, which happens to be the night before. So I'm hoping that once we collect said mascot costumes, which is not an easy task to find a place to put large animals in your home, but we'll do as many as we can that evening as well and have them parading up and down while kids wait to get into the Halloween Hoot. So just a little shout out to what we're doing to connect what we do, teachers, with the kids in the community. So thank you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Next, I invite Mallory Sofin to the podium.
Good evening. I am Mallory Soffin, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my colleagues at Lincoln Street Alternative. This is my 13th year as a social studies teacher at Lincoln, and we have a very, very dedicated staff, which is what makes us such a special school. One of the cool things about Lincoln Street that some of you probably know, but some of the community members aren't as aware of, is that our students remain students of their home school, so either Groves or Seahome, meaning that they can fully participate in extracurricular activities. Thus, our students graduate with a diploma from either Groves or Seahome. We teach a wide variety of classes and are bound to the exact same curriculum standards as both Grove and Seahomes. Hence, we have the same exact graduation requirements. In addition, I want to also recognize the incredible building upgrades that we received over the summer. Fresh paint, new floors, and furniture, as well as updated bathrooms go a very long way. Thank you to the board for their continued support. Some students just need a smaller environment to succeed, and that's where Lincoln Street comes into play. Our classes are smaller, which means our students have the opportunity to get to know their teachers, which is extremely important for all students, especially those who struggle with school. Students do not care about what you know until they know that you care, and this is especially true for our students, many of whom have had traumatic schooling experiences. Our students are given opportunities they would not otherwise have at Groves or Seaholm. Due to our smaller classes, our students have an opportunity to take on leadership roles in the classroom. We do offer a leadership class, which allows our students to plan different all-school community building activities, volunteer at the Annex, as well as Greenfield Elementary. That is a role that our students likely would not have taken up at Groves or Seaholm, and we all know how beneficial it is for students to see themselves as leaders. Lincoln Street participates in a program called Mayo Stars, Michigan Alternative Education Organization's student branch, which allows our students to meet other alternative students from throughout Michigan. Our students go on 3 different events, and this program allows our students to develop their networking skills, showcase their leadership skills, as well as fine-tune their team-building skills in a diverse environment. Every spring, we take 4 seniors to Delta College to compete in their college and career competition, which is similar to a DECA competition. Our students compete in events like employment interviews, several different decision-making events, both team and individual, project demonstration, along with many more, events that showcase their soft skills, which are crucial employment skills. For the past few years, our students have taken first place in all of the decision-making events, as well as employment interviews, just to mention a few. We also raise salmon in the classroom. We often take field trips to the DIA. Our students create service projects that support the community. I really just want to stress that Lincoln Street's not a punishment, rather it's an opportunity. And I want to also invite the board members to come to our graduation ceremony. A lot of you do come, and it's a really amazing ceremony, and it showcases all that we do. Thank you.
So much, thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Way Howard.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is May Howard, and I went to Lincoln Street. I graduated in 2022, and I'm just here to tell you guys about my experience of going to Lincoln, which I absolutely loved. So I started off at Groves, and I had a bit of a hard time there, and so I eventually transferred over to Lincoln. And I really think that it gave me an opportunity that a lot of other students didn't have. Although our classes were small, that was actually my favorite part. I felt like I was able to actually really have a relationship with all of my teachers, with my principal, and I was able to ask more questions and get the help that I really needed. And although their primary job is to be educators, they weren't just educators, at least not to me. I always felt like I had a whole team behind me throughout all 4 years. Even now, I know that I can still talk to them if I need help. And I really think that Lincoln gave me a lot of confidence that I didn't have beforehand. And so I completely agree with Ms. Soffin about Lincoln not being a punishment. It's seen as that a lot of the times, but I think it's the complete opposite. I think we're one big, huge family, and I was very happy to be a part of it. And so thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, May. Thank you so much.
Next, I invite Jane Watkinson to the podium.
Hello. I'm a former student at Lincoln Street. I graduated in 2023. I'm here to speak briefly about the good of the program. The environment is positive, welcoming, and accommodating, which is thanks to the wonderful staff who are invested in their students' success and education. I am positive all of my peers who attended Lincoln Street and who are attending right now would say the same. For me personally, Lincoln Street made me look forward to school in the morning instead of dreading it. I wish I had known about Lincoln Street before my 3rd semester of my junior year, or rather trimester. If I had known how much it changed my view on school, I'd have gone straight out of middle school. Deciding to go to Lincoln Street instead of just dropping out and getting my GED was one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. Still to this day, Lincoln Street encourages me. Recently, I made a big change in my life, deciding to stop going to a job which would have led to a career that I recently realized I did not want to do anymore, and deciding to take classes at OCC instead. I was really afraid and nervous to do this, but thinking back on how nervous and afraid I was deciding to go to Lincoln Street and just the positive that it did in my life and how much it changed my life gave me the courage to make this decision. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Jason Tajani to the podium.
Good evening, members of the board, teachers, staff, parents, and fellow community members. My name is Jason Tajani. I'm excited to stand before you tonight as a candidate for BPS Board Trustee. As a resident of Birmingham since 2018, and of Oakland County since 2008, I've had the privilege of calling this community my home. I've lived just 4 streets away from Pierce Elementary, and my 3 wonderful kids attend Birmingham Covington School in the 6th, 5th, and 4th grades. I built a diverse career over the years, starting as a formulation chemist, spending over a decade in private practice, and currently serving as a head of legal for a drug discovery company. Along the way, I've earned degrees in biochemistry, chemistry, and law, and I'm currently a PhD candidate in bioinformatics. I hope that my kids will graduate before I do, or the other way around, I'm not really sure at this point. Committed to education, I teach on innovation-related topics as a visiting lecturer at Harvard Medical School and visiting professor at Michigan State University Law School. As both an attorney and scientist, I've come to understand the profound power of collaboration and compromise. I believe that building a collaborative partnership among all stakeholders is crucial for preparing our students for real-world success. Our teachers provide essential insights. Parents and students bring valuable perspectives that should be integral to our decision-making process. Together, we can help our students excel academically while also developing the vital soft skills they need to thrive in today's world. As many of you are aware, BPS continues to provide a world-class education experience for our students. BPS ranks 5th in the state of Michigan and 1st in Oakland County for the 2023-2024 academic year based on proficiency on the MSTEP and PSAT scores. These achievements are a testament to the hard work and dedication of our educators and administrators. Moreover, BPS has remained fiscally responsible while reaching these heights. Over the last 5 years, you've had 3 years of balanced budgets and 2 years of shortfalls of less than 0.5% of budgeted expenditures. This is not just good management, it's a commitment to sustainability and excellence that benefits all of us. I want to personally congratulate all of you, the teachers, the administrators, the support staff, and our Board of Trustees for these remarkable achievements. This community truly appreciates each and every one of you. And in my last 30 seconds, I want to show what I will do as a board trustee if I'm elected. I will focus on 3 key areas: fostering a love of learning, ensuring a positive experience for all students, and maintaining a safe learning environment. As I'm a lifelong student, I hope all of our students will always be lifelong students as I am. So, thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes public comment. Next, we'll move into our consent agenda, which has our personnel report, financial statements, and minutes from 2 meetings. Could I have a motion for Resolution 13, acceptance of our consent agenda?
I move to consider Resolution 13, acceptance of our consent agenda.
Second.
Who seconded? Sorry.
Oh,
second. Thank you. All those in favor of Resolution 13, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Joseph? Okay, so everybody, we're good, 7-0? Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to call you out, but I didn't hear you, so. I understand. Next, I will turn it over to Deputy Superintendent, Mr. H., for Resolution 14 and/or 15.
Yes. Good evening and thank you. I have forward with me Resolution 14 and 15. Resolution 14 is the second reading of an update to the Board of Education bylaw and policy manual that specifically details with the change to policy 4005, which was update 17.07, which was the removal of the section under other matters of employment. And then Resolution 15 speaks to proposed revision language that could be replaced if the board determines they do not want to remove the language. in Resolution 14.
Thank you. Trustees, so with the two resolutions in front of us, we could have, move Resolution 14 forward, have discussion. Or you could table Resolution 14, bring Resolution 15 together, forward, however, whatever trustee wants to move the resolution forward, we can have conversation about both, if there's any further conversation to be had.
I motion to move Resolution 14 forward, the acceptance of Miller Johnson recommendations and updates to the Board of Education bylaws and policy manuals, item 17.07.
Second.
Moved by Lori, seconded by Amy. Trustees, is there any discussion that anyone would like to have on Resolution 14?
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
we have discussed this at a study session. This is our second reading, an opportunity to vote. I will just restate what I said at the study session. I believe it is in our best interest to take the advice of our attorneys. I think it speaks to their expertise as well as the trust and respect that we have for our teaching staff, our administrators, and my fellow board members, since we are all part of this. In addition, I would just like to point out again that we discussed in detail the Michigan Code of Educational Ethics, which was mentioned during public comment. It is 9 pages. It goes into significant detail, not only about the responsibilities of the profession, but the prohibitions against interfering with parental legal rights, prohibitions against behavior that would be considered to be inappropriate. It more than covers this situation, as well as several other situations that I can think of that I would not want teachers to engage in, but that are not specifically called out in our policy. So for that reason, I believe that we need to vote to remove the language, and that is how I will be voting.
And I also would, oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Luke, go ahead, Trustee Joseph, and then we'll start right down the line.
Okay. You sure?
Yep.
All right. Thank you. I'll start with saying, since the day this was implemented until the day, it has caused no harm to anybody in the district. As instead, it actually benefited, and that's actually what Trustee Hockamer agreed, reminded me in the study session, because I originally said it didn't help. It actually did help, but it never hurt. So if you, and if you take something out like this, that would hurt approximately 50% of the population that vote for us and represented and believe in this and have, and no matter how you sugarcoat it and you say this is not, the teachers are not going to do this, the teachers are not going to do that. So I'll make a quick comparison. Where I work, to remain nameless, has union and non-union employees, and they want to do a hybrid management agreement. As much as we're telling them the hybrid management agreement is going to be not going to affect the union contract and you're still going to have your job, they still don't believe it. They think that they're going to be fired and they're going to lose their jobs, which is actually not accurate, but that's their belief. That's what they believe. And the analogy to this is, I say, is true. You can stay here all day, bring everybody in the audience and everybody here on the CLT, the board members who want to vote to remove it, and say, yeah, this is not going to affect anything. At the end of the day, that's not what people believe. People are going to believe that this is what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. I strongly, strongly believe we need to amend this for the sake of our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Joseph. Trustee Spencer?
Yes, thank you. A teacher's professional duties are defined by the Code of Ethics, as was previously mentioned. Leaving policy 4055-1707 in place since the repeal at the state level is unnecessary and partisan. The policy was originally tied to funding requirements by the state, and that is why it was included by the district. It is no longer mandatory, and especially considering that there are no specific policies that outline teachers, staff, and board members' conduct regarding prohibition or referral in assistance in regards to alcohol and drugs, weapons, criminal and risky behaviors, cheating and plagiarism, and other malicious actions. I believe we should accept our lawyer's recommendation to remove this language. Thank you.
So I have been in Birmingham Public Schools as a student, and then I was employed by Birmingham Public Schools for 32 years, and then I served on the board for 8.5, and I continue to do so. So if I add this up, and I don't want to give away my age, but if I add this up, we're talking about 50+ years, and never, ever, not once in these 50+ years have I ever heard, seen, or had to deal with a staff member from any rank violating a code of ethics like this. Not ever. I have full faith and belief in our staff. I worked with them for 40 years and believe that they take this code of ethics as serious as anything else. I know for a fact they understand the severity of the situation. I also know that I can't think of anybody that wants to get involved with family, personal issues like this. We are not a political body of trustees. We are apolitical. We are nonpartisan, and I want to keep that perspective moving forward. And for that reason, or for those reasons, I will be supporting Resolution 14.
Trustee McKinney?
Okay. So my rationale for today's vote includes the following. This decision aligns with legal recommendations, including by our own attorney. We have conduct guidelines in the Code of Ethics that cover for this. In fact, the Michigan Code of Ethics says, upholding parents as guardians, legal rights as well as any legal requirements to reveal information related to legitimate concerns of the well-being of a student. And it is a student is required to be, if they do receive an abortion, they have to have parents' consent. If they are under the age of 18, we will not be setting a precedence in removing this. There are other schools in neighboring communities who have already voted to remove this. For those reasons, I will be voting in favor.
Trustee Zamet?
We had a great discussion at our last study session. Everybody raised very good points. Most have been repeated, on a kind of condensed scale tonight, so I'll do the same. I don't support removing the policy because I do feel like it's there. We should just keep it. In no way does it signify any level of mistrust I have in our staff. I think it's a good policy because it really shows clearly that we in no way would ever want to insert ourselves between a parent and a child's relationship. And it also sends a very clear signal of support to our staff and our administrators that we know
what we expect of them. We know what their ethics are, and so we lay it right out there. It's already there. I do believe we should keep it.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for the thoughtful discussion and dialogue we've had. I personally have thought long and hard about this and weighed all different options. And so obviously you all know me well enough now that I prepared a statement, so I'm going to read that. As you know, MCL 388.1766 was repealed at the state level. Many school districts, including Rochester, Troy, and Bloomfield, had taken steps to update their policies to be consistent with state law. We've also been advised by our attorney that this is an appropriate and necessary step. This is now repealed law prohibits educators from providing assistance to students regarding abortions, including referrals. It also prescribed penalties. Again, this law is now repealed. And so it's appropriate for our code to be updated accordingly. Practically speaking, educators in our district did not engage in these activities. Our guidance and professional code clearly prohibits such conduct even before the law was repealed, and that will not change with tonight's vote. Sensitive matters involving reproductive health are more appropriate for trained healthcare professionals, and we require parents to be involved and informed. Our board policy requires 2 hearings to finalize and adopt changes to our school code, including updates that bring us into line with current state law. Tonight's the second hearing. Our superintendent has made it clear by updating our policy will not change how our school district operates, our guidance to educators, our professional code of conduct, or our commitment to engage and inform parents. It will, however, bring our school code in line with state law, which we do routinely at different times depending on what happens at our state capitol. Regardless of your beliefs on reproductive health and abortion, tonight's vote is really a technical decision about bringing our school policies in line with state law and advised by our attorney. Let's focus on our core mission of providing world-class education to our students. So with that, I will also be supporting removal of resolution, removing it from our bylaws. So with that, we have resolution 14 moved forward by Lori, seconded by trustee Hokumer. All those in favor of acceptance of Miller Johnson's recommendations and updates to the Board of Education bylaws and policy manual, item 1707, second reading, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 5-2. Thank you, Mr. Heitch. Next, I will turn it over to Ms. Imperio for our teaching and learning report, the spring 2024 state testing presentation.
Let's see. Let me move this down. It's right there. Good evening, trustees, my colleagues, and the community. Hopefully, this evening, I get the opportunity to bring some joy and celebration to our meeting. Also, the opportunity to point out some areas.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I see David in the back, who is here for our business services, and I'm just wondering, I'm sorry, Ms. Imperial, I'm just wondering.
I'll take my joy and go back to my seat.
If we should let him go first because he's.
We also did discuss the other resolution, if we needed to replace language. Do we need to discuss that, or do
Nobody brought it.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking that maybe we should go to business services, and that way he can go home.
So trustees, if
you
you're
would like
okay
to.
with us moving Ms. Imperio after business services report so we could vote on our resolutions?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Imperio. Thank you. So we will move to business services where we have 3 resolutions. Resolution 16, authorizing the 2025 refunding of our bonds. Mr. Teratuda, you're up.
Surprise. Okay. All right, Resolution 16, authorizing of 2025 refunding bonds. So we have a number of outstanding bonds that our community has graciously passed over the last several years. And as these bonds are written, they generally come with a provision that after 10 years, they become what is called callable. And that allows us the opportunity to refund them if interest rates are better, if market conditions are better, which allows us to save money for our taxpayers, as well as leverage some of that flexibility to perhaps issue new bonds at a larger capital investment. So what we have done is we worked with our financial consultants, PFM, and we've identified that the 2015 bonds are now at their callable stage after a 10-year period. And typically what happens is we look at the market, we look at debt structuring, and we try and identify what the savings potential is. And if we're finding that there's a savings potential of about 3% of the outstanding bonds, that typically within the industry is a worthwhile investment for the refunding. So in this case, in our analysis, we have looked at with PFM, we've identified that there's a total gross savings on a refunding restructure of $2.678 million on a gross basis. On a time value basis, that is $2.283 million. And that present value, that sort of time analysis savings, generates a 5.56% savings rate. So because it is over that 3% threshold we consider for a worthwhile investment, that is why we have brought this to the board to recommend.
Trustees, do I have a motion for Resolution 16 authorizing the 2025 refunding bonds?
I move to entertain the motion of Resolution 16 to authorize 2025 refunding bonds.
Second.
Are there any questions for Mr. Teratuta regarding the bonds? All those in favor of passing Resolution 16, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. All right, we will move to Resolution 17, the Stormwater Management Operations and Maintenance Agreement for Bingham Farms Elementary School.
Resolution 17 is the stormwater management and maintenance agreement with Bingham Farms. You may recall a few months ago, we entered into a very similar agreement with Groves. As we do construction work and we are digging, doing site work, any underground systems, including piping or detention, usually comes along with these stormwater maintenance agreements. The county has passed over the last year several revisions to code. Local municipalities are also adopting the countywide sort of standards for stormwater management in their code, and now we are sort of the beneficiaries of that legislation being passed down to us. So the board did pass the stormwater maintenance agreement that we did with Groves. The language here for this agreement is nearly identical in every aspect. It is now just with a different municipality for the work that we're doing over at Bingham Farms Elementary. And then just for reference, this was placed in with the Bond Oversight Committee recently at their meeting, given much more detail, and really doesn't obligate the district to much more than we are already doing in terms of stormwater maintenance and record keeping.
And I could add, Trustee Zamet and Trustee Rass, when we were in our bond committee meeting October 1st, we were presented with all of those details, and we were completely, if I may speak for both of you, satisfied, thought everything was up on the levels it should be, and we were ready to go ahead and present this and pass it.
That's right. Trustees may have a motion for Resolution 17.
I move to consider Resolution 17, Stormwater Management Operations and Maintenance Agreement, Bingham Farms Elementary.
Support.
Was that Amy or? Okay, thank you. Moved by Trustee Zamet, seconded by Trustee Hokumer. Trustees, any other questions? All those in favor of passing Resolution 17, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Resolution 18, the 2025 roofing program for Birmingham Covington School, Groves and Seaholm High Schools.
Thank you. So we recently did a request for proposal on roofing at the 3 schools mentioned, BCS, Groves, and Seaholm. These roofing projects are select areas at each of those. We have worked with a firm, Structure Tech, to identify any areas of the roofs that could warrant repair, replacement, and we're working with them basically throughout our construction projects. But for the time being, these were identified as the highest need at this point in our work. So we were very fortunate in the process. We received 9 bids, which is great for this level of work. And the apparent low bidders were interviewed by the project team. We did our post-bid analysis with the low bidders just to make sure that the scope was in there, that everyone knew what they were getting into, and that we had the full and complete picture before recommendation. Fortunately, the low bidder was the low bidder for all the projects at a cost of about $1.7 million, as listed in the full recommendation letter that was provided to the board. Again, this was placed in front of the Bond Oversight Committee in great detail, and is kind of coming along with their recommendation as well. I have invited David as well. PMR always joins us when we have these situations if there are additional questions.
So trustees, could I have a motion for Resolution 18, the 2025 roofing program for BCS Groves and Seaholm?
I move that we consider Resolution 18, 2025 roofing program, BCS Groves and Seaholm.
Support.
Does anyone have any questions for David or Mr. Teratuda?
Let's raise the roof.
Did they hear you say that, Luke?
Huh?
I don't know if does everyone
I said,
heard.
let's raise the roof. Accounting roof.
Any other questions before we call it for a vote? All those in favor of Resolution 18, 2025 roofing program, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. David, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Teratuda. Thank you for switching on the fly. Now, Ms. Imperio, it is really your turn.
Take 2.
And I can still bring the joy and celebration with me.
Yes.
And I will keep it as brief as possible. We all know that I love to talk about data. But the thing that is exciting is, there is joy in celebrating the outcome of very hard work. And there is, truly you can find joy when you identify opportunities, especially when you live in a community that is united around the way with which we are going to approach those opportunities and truly believes in it is our job through continuous improvement to ensure that each and every student in this district reaches their fullest potential. So while we have much to celebrate, we have opportunities that we are united in the way with which we intend to address those. The first thing we're going to talk about is our this is the agenda for kind of 3 different buckets of data. So we'll look at 3-8 M-STEP, and 8th grade does take PSAT, so it's 3-8 M-STEP and PSAT. We'll be looking at the Michigan Merit Exam, which is our SAT exam in 11th grade. And last year, this board made a very bold decision to approve a brand-new mathematics curriculum that was selected by our teachers and supported by our community. And at that time, I committed to report the outcomes of our year 1 implementation and to also name to you how we are approaching that curriculum through a continuous improvement cycle. So I'll be talking to you about the year 1 full district-wide implementation of illustrative mathematics. We're going to go into M-STEP first. The way I'm going to approach this is the majority of the data visualizations have the same structure. So the first couple of data visualizations, I'll describe the structure. And then after that, I'll just do a quick voiceover as we look at different subject areas and different grade levels. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me to pause, and I'll be happy to slow down and answer any questions that you may have. So on the screen right now, you're looking at M-STEP grade 3-7. And you will notice across the bottom, the navy blue bar is for Birmingham Public Schools. The gray bar is for Oakland County, so the county with which our district is situated in. The gold bar line is for our peer districts. For peer districts, we chose 3 districts that are of like demographics to our district. Out of respect for my colleagues, I'm not naming the name of those districts, but I do know that Dr. Roberson has shared that in the update. And so it's looking across those 3 districts. And then also for, you'll also, sorry, did I misspeak?
No, I did.
Okay, I thought so. Okay.
reminded me I did.
And then the lighter blue line is the state of Michigan. So here you can see our historical performance in grades 3 through 7. We have a lot to celebrate in this area. We have continued to improve over the last 3 years. And we have exceeded our pre-pandemic scores. And so there is a lot to celebrate in the work that our teachers have done, in the work that our students have done, and also in the work that our parents have put in to helping our students as we've come back to school, and super excited to share that information. This particular visualization shows the change in percent proficient. So something that we hold ourselves accountable to is not resting on our laurels. We are a high-performing district, but we do believe that each and every student can reach their fullest potential, and we say our job is not finished until 100% of our students who are on regular standards are proficient or advanced in the mastery of the standards that we're challenged to teach them with. And so you want to make sure not only that you're improving, but you're improving at a rate that is greater than or equal to that of the state and your peer districts. And so if you look at this visualization, the 0 is midline. Didn't change at all. Last year we were, for example, 80% proficient. This year we were 80% proficient. No change. Above the 0 is improvement, below the 0 is a decline. And so you'll notice in this visualization, change in proficient is on the left side of the screen. Birmingham is dark blue, Oakland County is gray, peer districts are yellow, state of Michigan is blue. So you can see in the area of ELA in grades 3-7, we have bucked the trend of declining scores in literacy. Our literacy improvement was, we are hoping to see accelerate. As you know, we have a pilot program happening this year, and so we do anticipate to see even greater increase in our percent proficient. But at this point, we were able to buck the trend that we're seeing nationally and across the state of declining scores in ELA in grades 3-8. This is math under the same view. So you can see again in grades 3 through 7 mathematics, we have improved every year for the last 3 years. We have exceeded the average scores of our peer districts. We have improved when the state, Oakland County, and our peer districts have remained flat. This gives you an indicator of where we sit amongst our peer districts. Overarchingly in grade 3-7 ELA, you will see that we sit first amongst our peer districts in grades 3-7 ELA, and by a decent margin. I'm going to move to the next one. This is, I feel like that ELA slide should have been earlier. That's why I got discombobulated. I apologize. So we're going to end the ELA presentation here with, this is where we sit in placement compared to our peer districts in Oakland County. Now I'll go back to math, and you can see the overall improvement in math compared to our peers. And then this is our math percent change. So you can see what makes this particularly exciting for us is it shows the true evolution of strategy. A strategy that began with deep professional learning around the best practices in mathematics, a strategy that involved teachers in selecting high-quality instructional materials, a well-developed implementation plan that include professional development, job-embedded coaching, and support for teachers. And what you can see happened is when those ingredients come together, you buck the trend. And so you can see that our district not only improved, it improved far greater than our peer districts, the state of Michigan or Oakland County, in grades 3-7 mathematics.
Yes.
Yes?
I'd just like to add that I think our teachers embracing that professional development and with the level of excitement that, I mean, we saw it here at our board meetings, and we heard about it in the schools, and I don't know, Lori would be a better person to say, but I've never seen that before.
Well, they were involved in the process, so they took pride in that, knowing that they had input. Voice. Yeah, exactly.
And it's such a tremendous growth. I mean, that's so commendable. So they should be, I mean, I feel so proud of them.
We'll talk a bit more about it when we talk about the illustrative implementation, but especially in the first year with new instructional materials.
That's not easy in the first year.
No. It's quite exciting for our teachers, and we should really commend. We spent this afternoon celebrating specifically our middle school teachers because our middle school improvement was quite significant. Middle school is typically very challenging to see improved student achievement outcomes, and our middle schools did an excellent job. A big shout out to all of them, but Berkshire actually improved in every single metric they were assessed in this year. So every school improved, but Berkshire improved in every metric. So we're doing great. This is where we sit amongst our peer districts in mathematics. So you can see we are a little less than 0.5% away from being the first among our peer districts in Oakland County. If our trend continues and we continue to be improving at an accelerated rate when compared to our peer districts and the state of Michigan, I would expect to see that change next year. I'm hopeful to see that. I also know that there has been a lot of conversation around rankings. And a lot of people like to look at rankings like Niche and EdNews and World Reports. One thing that's important to remember when we look at those rankings is that some of their data is more than 2 years old, and that there are factors that sit outside of our control. For example, demographics of your community, different things like that. So I wanted to give you a look at like pure academics, like where do we sit in pure academics? So this shows you pre-pandemic 2019, where Birmingham Public Schools sat in Oakland County. So we were ranked number 4 in grades 3-7 for ELA and number 5 for mathematics. And you can see that this year in 2024, we are ranked pure academics, number 1 in ELA and number 2 in mathematics. And so I wanted to make sure that we celebrate our teachers and we celebrate our students and we celebrate our staff for the improvement. And you can see the improvement across the last 3 years. It's been incredible. We cannot leave out science and social studies, even though ELA and mathematics has been our focus. You will see that our 5-8 science scores remained relatively flat. We saw a little tiny bit of a dip, which does hold true with the state and our peer districts in Oakland County. We will continue to see science and social studies improve as we see our ELA literacy improve. It is statistically proven to support, especially science and social studies scores. And we have some plans, I'll talk about that a little later, around how to continue to improve these numbers.
Wait, can I ask you a question? Does the fact that they don't take it every single year play into the results? Yeah, and the lack of constant progression?
It wouldn't add to a lack of constant progression. It does make it a trickier assessment because it does assess multiple years of teaching, multiple years of standards, so it doesn't just address 5th grade standards. So it's a little bit of a trickier assessment, but we would still expect to see improvement in our overall science scores. And I do think that will come. We have been very focused on ELA and mathematics. And so I think as we move forward and get more comfortable with our math curriculum and our ELA curriculum, we'll be able to spend some time and really focus on science. And social studies, we actually saw a pretty significant improvement across grades 3-8. So remember, in the M-STEP in social studies and science is given in grades 5 and 8. And so we actually, you will notice that our Birmingham scores have improved each of the last 2 years, stayed the same the first year, and that we have exceeded our peer districts in social studies overall scores. That is the end of M-STEP for grades 3-7 ELA Math and for 5-8 Science and Social Studies.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Exciting.
It's exciting to see the work of the teachers be celebrated and our students and our parents. So now we're going to talk about PSAT 8-9, which is 8th grade. And so the graphs are the same, so I'm going to just quickly voice over them. And you can see that, again, in evidence-based reading and writing, we've been kind of a little steady, but we did improve this year. We improved pretty statistically significant, and we are now above our like peers. And this is that year-over-year change in ELA. So you can see demonstrated in these numbers that we are accelerating the rate that our students are achieving proficiency and advanced on state assessment. This is where we sit amongst our peer districts in evidence-based reading and writing. Once again, you will notice it is a small percentage. We're sitting at number 2 amongst our peer districts. This is mathematics. So you will see in 8th grade mathematics, we kind of stayed the same in 22, 23, but we did see improvement in 24, and we saw improvement when the rest of the state saw a decline. So once again, we were able to buck a trend. And I don't say that because we want our colleagues to do well. We want every student in Michigan to do well. We do want to lead the way in doing well. And so in looking at this, it affirms for us the strategies that we're working in this area are working, and that we are accelerating the rate with which our students are reaching proficiency. And we will support our colleagues as they are thinking about doing similar strategies and following similar strategies themselves. So we're cheering on our colleagues, but also showing the outcome of the hard work of our educators. This is where we stand amongst our peer districts in mathematics. We are number 3. And this is how our rankings have improved. So this is in Oakland County. You will see in 2019, which is pre-pandemic, we were number 3 for evidence-based reading and writing, and now we are number 2. In 2019, we were number 7 for mathematics, and now we are number 3. And so you can see just pure academics where we stand and how our rankings have improved over the last several years. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about next steps. I did describe that these outcomes are not just by chance. These outcomes are by strategy. So I talked to you about a strong professional learning plan. I talked to you about teacher and community-involved selection of high-quality instructional materials. Dr. Roberson mentioned that we have implemented an MTSS framework. And while it is true all schools were doing MTSS, we now have a framework that is consistent across all schools K-8 that includes ELA and is gradually adding in math. And that framework is data-driven because we also, you might remember, in our first year, moved to a new assessment in grades K-8, which was iReady, which our teachers and administrators have really embraced in using that data to make instructional decisions, not just for classroom instruction, but also for those data-driven decisions for serving our students. But we're not done. We're going to celebrate the good things. Our principals have already done a deep data analysis. They are working on finalizing their school improvement plans. Obviously, we are working on a successful pilot of our ELA literacy materials, Wit and Wisdom and Magnetic. This year, we have started a focus on instructional practice. We call it the Instructional Leaders, Cohort 1. And this particular group are made up of reading specialists, instructional specialists, department heads, assistant principals, and they're leading instructional coaching around the district, professional learning, teacher labs, and teacher team meetings, which are our PLCs. We are going to continue to enhance and strengthen our implementation of MTSS, especially focusing on bringing in mathematics. And we did apply for and receive a grant, so we are able to continue our high dosage, a competitive grant, and we are able to continue our high dosage tutoring for our students that are in need of it. Now we're going to go into high school. And in high school, we're going to be talking about SAT, and then we'll talk about MSTEP for science and social studies. So here you'll see our evidence-based reading and writing. You will see that in evidence-based reading and writing, we're kind of right with our peers. We did see a slight decline, as did Oakland County and as did the state of Michigan. And you will see here is the change and improvement. So you'll remember when I started, we talked about, where we have celebration and where we have areas of opportunity. And after I go through the slides, I want to talk to you about the difference in our strategies. We've taken a very different strategy in K-8 than we have in high school. And so I'm going to go through the slides, and then I'm going to talk to you about those strategies and what our next steps are. So we do still sit number 2, even with a slight, we sit at number 2 against our peer districts. So we have not lost any ground against the districts around us when it comes to evidence-based reading and writing. Mathematics is our definite opportunity in high school. So you can see that we've been kind of up and down over the last 3 years. Our peer districts have also been up and down. The state of Michigan and Oakland County has been kind of slowly moving down in mathematics. Many districts are experiencing trouble improving in mathematics in K-8, as you saw earlier, and that is also true in high school. I'm going to speak a little bit to how we plan to take advantage of this opportunity on behalf of our students and our teachers as we move forward.
Was this the first year that the SAT was all on the computer?
This is the first year that the SAT was digital, yes, for ELA and mathematics.
That sounds better than all on the computer.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered.
Yes, change in assessment does matter, but we also see opportunity here. We did see it when the SAT moved from paper pencil to digital nationally, we saw decline. And that's very typical when an assessment changes their method of delivery or their methodology in the way that they are calculating scores. And so they also looked at the benchmark being at 75% likely to score a C or better in a college level entry course in the subject area. So there were 2 factors that impacted SAT scores. But that impacts everybody alike, right? It impacts us all the same because we're all facing those same 2 factors. They're not unique to Birmingham or unique to any other school district.
It was also a little bit of COVID slide. These are COVID kids still.
Yeah, we're definitely mathematics. You saw in the change, although we have bucked the trend in K-8, we've improved in mathematics, but we have seen statistically and nationally, the majority of districts are grappling to recover in mathematics. But we have a plan. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. This is our year over year for mathematics. And again, naming openly, this is our opportunity. This is an area where we are seeing a decline that we do not want to continue to see and do not anticipate we will continue to see. You can, yes, sir.
I don't know how true this would be, but I believe a reason for that might be the COVID, because a lot of these students who are in high school now suffered through COVID when most likely they were in middle school. So I think that, I know my kids did, so the experience of advancing to a higher level of math has been affected, based on my experience in my own family.
There are many experts that would agree with you that COVID has had a greater impact on mathematics because students did lose significant foundational learning. I do believe that we are set and ready to make that recovery and that rebound, but many experts would agree with you that COVID had a greater impact on mathematics than it did on ELA overall. ELA, I mean reading or literature in high school. This is our ranking amongst our peer districts. You can see we're number 3 amongst our peer districts in SAT mathematics. The good news is that although this is an area where we have an opportunity to continue to grow, it has not impacted where we sit with the exception of evidence-based reading and writing, but it's by a very small percentage. So in 2019, we were ranked number 3 in Oakland County. In 2024, for our total college and career readiness, we are ranked number 3. In evidence-based reading and writing, we were ranked number 1 in 2019. In 2024, we are ranked number 2. And in mathematics, we were ranked number 3. And in 2024, we remain ranked number 3. So we're holding steady, but we have an opportunity here. I'm going to show science, so you can see that our science scores remain steady. Our peers improved a little bit. The state and the district, the state and Oakland County had a little bit of a, but everyone's pretty much the same in science. And you can see social studies was pretty dramatically impacted by the pandemic. You'll note on each slide, there is a, please remember that in 2020, we did not give the M-STEP, and in 2021, it was optional. So the scores for 2021 are not super reliable. That 79 was only children who chose to take the assessment. So you can see that 22, 23 to 24, we did see improvement in Birmingham in social studies, as did our peer districts. So now I want to talk through next steps in high school. And what I want to talk about first is strategy in high school. So I described a strategy for K-8 that really involved professional development, selecting materials, implementing those materials with those best practices, and that happening across the course of 3 years. In high school, the district chose, or our community really chose, our community of committee and community chose to move to have a longer-term strategy. That longer-term strategy is moving from trimesters to semesters. And there were a lot of really important reasons academically for that decision. One of them is that our students are spending a full year now in core courses. So there will no longer be gaps between I'm in Math Integrated 2, I don't have Math Integrated 2 in Try 3, I don't have it in Try 1, and here I am in Try 2 trying to do Math Integrated 2. So that practice has been eliminated by the move to semesters. Our students are now spending a full year in English, in math, in science, and in social studies in these core courses. That strategy, while brave and bold, is a long-term strategy. It takes time to move from a trimester system to a semester system. And so the committee that made this decision began convening over 2 years ago, and our district began preparing 2 years ago. And so our teachers have been working on, so when you move from a 2-trimester class to a 3-trimester class, you have to make critical decisions about how you're adjusting your curriculum. Part of those critical decisions are how are you going to serve the students in front of you that need support or need enrichment? So how are you going to take advantage of those opportunities of additional time to pre-teach and reteach skills that you know your students need? We know that that is critical to mathematics success in high school. And so having that full year and that extra time and the fact that our math teachers have sat together, looked at their curriculum, thought about where there are opportunities to go deeper and to support students when needed has happened over the last 2 years. In addition, in order to engage in conversations around instruction, you need common assessments where you and your colleagues can sit together and talk about how students are learning. What do you expect them to learn? What do you think they're going to have trouble with? And how are you going to solve that problem? And so they've spent the last 2 years also authoring common semester 1 finals and semester 2 finals. Those things are going into place this year. And so it's a bold strategy. It's an important strategy, but you won't see the reward in student academic outcomes for at least a year or two after it's implemented. So like I cautioned us around an implementation dip in mathematics, I can't sit here and say that in the first year of semesters we are going to see significant student achievement outcomes, but I do believe that we have put the right moves in place. The chess pieces are on the table in the right place that we can find success in the new semester system. In addition to that, we have deeply analyzed our data. Each of our high school principals are meeting monthly with myself and Mr. Hirsch, and we are talking about their data and talking about their, Mr. Heisch, sorry. We are talking about their data, talking about especially mathematics and ELA and serving the needs of students. So we're going through that continuous improvement cycles with our leaders. We're implementing our year-long courses as planned with the same instructor, so far less transition, far more teaching time. The instructional leaders, our department heads, are participating in the instructional leader cohort. We will, for the first time, have common assessments, which will allow us to have conversations. We are paying for individualized coaching for each of our Integrated 1, Integrated 2, and Integrated 3 teachers in order to support them with job-embedded professional learning, where they're planning, teaching, and assessing their teaching with a mathematics expert next to them. We have introduced MTSS to high school this year, so this will be the first year that high school is experiencing that district-wide framework. We have introduced Khan Academy as a way to support students with assessment prep and advisory, with filling in gaps in learning opportunities in ACLAB. We are using our high-dosage tutoring dollars from the competitive grants in our high schools as well. And I talked to you about science and social studies. We are harnessing and developing a really close relationship with Oakland schools in order to use their expertise to support our secondary social studies and science teachers, so that's middle and high school, while our team continues to really stay focused on ELA and mathematics, but also work side by side with Oakland schools so we can continue to see improvement in science and social studies. Any questions about high school? All right, I'm going to go quickly through illustrative, but it's the most exciting part of the whole presentation, so I'm going to move fast. So this is our illustrative mathematics year 1 implementation. So as you all remember, when you approved the curriculum, I did name. Year 1's always iffy. When you implement a new curriculum, your pacing is usually slower, which means kids see fewer standards, and you might see what is called an implementation dip. As you look across our grades, you will notice the light gray is 2022, the blue, light blue is 23, dark blue is 24. You will see improvement in every single grade with the exception of 3rd grade. I believe that is because it was a very big bridge between our previous curriculum in K-1-2 and our new curriculum. And so we have a plan to support those 3rd grade teachers, but otherwise obviously we saw improvement 3-7 and in 8th grade overall, and we saw improvement in every grade except 3rd. And this is our kind of the change by grade. So you can see that 3rd grade had a slight decline. You can see 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th all improved in the first year.
To see that 5th to 6th grade.
I know.
Jump, especially transition year. Right.
Those middle school teachers, when you involve teachers in selecting curriculum and also empower them to deliver the PD, because we had PD Power Squad, with our partner, which is Imagine Learning in mathematics, great things happen. So it's pretty impressive. This is K2, so this is iReady data because they don't take state assessments. You will see that we improved in K and 2, and we did not see an improvement in grade 1. So our focus this year is obviously, sorry, I lost it, 3rd grade and 1st grade. And so in that commitment to a continuous improvement cycle, we want to continue to accelerate the improvement in all our grades, but we are going to focus on the district-wide trend in 1st and 3rd grade. And we're going to do that by adhering to, our pacing should be optimal this year. We've had a year to get used to it, so we're going to see better pacing. We do have a year 2 PD plan. We do have a focus on coaching in grades 1 and 3. We also have coaching in on-site in certain schools that we might have seen a greater need in certain grades. Our leadership team is going to be facilitating teacher labs throughout the district. We have published and committed to uphold our mathematics agreements, which include sending home homework to parents. That is up to the teacher whether it's required or optional. It also includes the use of fact fluency. We have not moved away from fact fluency. That is still a part of our curriculum, and we have written that in agreements and posted it on our website. And the other thing that we think is really important is for in year 2 being more consistent in our small group instruction. That'll help with enrichment for our high students and also help with our students that might need a little bit more support. So much to celebrate. I have 2 more things to show you and then I'm done. One is we're not just recognizing ourselves for our achievement, others are noticing our achievement. So there was a Michigan Live article. It outlined many areas where Birmingham was ranked very high. I am sharing with you that the Michigan Live article showed that when you put together all subjects, all grades combined, grade 3-8, we are number 1 in Oakland County and number 5 in the state of Michigan. Very impressive. And there is a educational, nonprofit news site called the 74. And they did something very unique that is very exciting for people that adhere to this belief. Each school district starts at a different starting point, depending on the demographics that you serve, right? That's why I compare us to peer districts and not all districts. I say we start the marathon halfway there because we serve students that have advantages that maybe some other students don't have in other communities. And so you find that districts like ours tend to perform better. We have higher rates of proficiency, expected. But what you really want to ask yourself is my rate of proficiency what I should expect of the demographic that I'm servicing, of the population that I serve? So the 74 did exactly that. They looked across the nation and they said, okay, what is the expected proficiency for literacy in 3rd grade in each school district based on their free and reduced lunch rate? So what is ours based on our free and reduced lunch? And then they said which districts were exceptional districts. In order to be exceptional, you had to exceed the projected proficiency rate. And so you will notice in this slide all these bubbles are school districts in Michigan. You will notice the one highlighted as yellow as an exceptional district is Birmingham Public Schools. You will not find any of our peer districts in yellow on this map. And so this is for 3rd grade reading. And so it is incredibly exciting to be noted nationally as an exceptional district for once again bucking the trend, improving in reading, and not just improving, but exceeding the expectations for 3rd grade reading. So I told you I had joy and celebration and opportunities. But if we have a good plan, we will be able to take advantage of those opportunities. And as a community, we will see the math trend in high school turnaround.
We have a question. Who is Chad Edelman?
Chad Edelman is the author of this particular article.
Got it.
He's an educational news reporter.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, and thank you, April. You're being modest, but it is under your leadership that we've been able to accomplish this. So thank you.
I would also say the leadership of Dr. Roberson, but thank you. I have a great leader who lets me lead, so I feel blessed to be in that spot. Thank you. And our teachers.
And the principals. Yeah. It's a team effort.
And you mentioned students and parents,
When we were celebrating the middle school teachers today during our PD day, Jason Clinksdale, who is our principal of Berkshire, actually gave the toast. And the resounding applause in the room for him and the appreciation the teachers had for him as an instructional leader was
was very clear in the way they received him. So
Beautiful.
it's a community.
Yeah, sure is.
I do have
Thank
a
you,
quick
Ms.
question,
Imperio.
if I can. So first of all, I apologize, I was not at the last board meeting, so welcome to our students for being on the board. And I don't know if I'm allowed to ask them a question, but since you sat through this long night,
We do
I'm-
have one more, sorry, we
We
do
do?
have one more motion.
oh, we do.
We do, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay, never mind.
But no, go ahead, and then I
Yeah,
just,
go ahead.
okay, we'll just, didn't mean to interrupt, but we have one more motion.
I didn't even know we had a motion.
No, you're fine. We have one more thing to discuss. Motion 19, the OCSBA proposal to amend the bylaws and ballot.
Yes. Okay, again, we discussed this at the study session. This is a recommended bylaw change from Oakland County School Board Association. It, quite honestly, is an amendment to our bylaws to accommodate the fact that we have a very rare exception where we will have two directors serving from the same district come January of 2025. This comes about because as a locally elected school board member, you are also allowed to run for the ISD school board. And their election does not align with November. It happens in June. So we currently have a local school board member who is serving as on her local board and on the ISD board. And she will come off her local board. And at that point, OCSBA will have two directors from the ISD. This bylaw amendment would allow that to continue only until the first one's term ends in June of 2026. And the rationale is that we have struggled to fill our board, let's just say. We've already reduced the number of directors that we can have on the board from 9 to 7. It's a working board, it would be hard to reduce it any further. So the amendment is to accommodate this. It would continue. And I would just like to point out that this would only happen with somebody serving on the ISD board. Because obviously, if I move out of Birmingham, I can no longer serve on this board, so I wouldn't be able to get elected to another board while I served here.
No, not yet. Thank you. So trustees, motion 19, OCSBA proposal to amend bylaws and ballot.
I move to consider motion 19, the OCSBA proposal to amend the bylaws and ballot.
Second.
Moved by trustee Angelini, seconded by trustee Zamet. All those in favor of motion 19, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Trustee McKinney.
Actually, no, never mind, because my question actually was more aligned with April's presentation. I thought that I had time to do that before we went to this amendment, so it's,
You can ask.
well, welcome.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Trustees, is there anything else?
They would love that.
So, so how has the new transition to semesters been for you? What are the highs and lows, and you can be completely transparent?
Do we turn this on or just stop?
It's already on.
It should be on.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It's not, you gotta push right there.
Yours are on.
Turn right.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay, so personally, I've really enjoyed the semesters because, like Ms. Imperial said, I had Spanish and math first and second trimester of my sophomore year, and then I didn't have it third trimester, and then I didn't have it first trimester my junior year. So I forgot all the Spanish and a good chunk of math, if I'm just being honest. So now with having it in semesters, we're also moving much slower because, for example, last year in AP Econ, we only had 2 trimesters to get through everything, but now in AP Gov, we have the whole year. So we can really do more things like we got to do a mock debate, we're gonna do a mock passing bills, stuff that she wasn't able to do last year. The only thing with semesters, the downside is that there are more core classes the whole year, so it was a big adjustment for senior year, having much more homework in core classes and not having as many electives because the classes are full year and not just 2/3 of the year.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
I enjoy semesters as well. It's only the beginning, so I can't really give an honest opinion of how it is in total, but I think it's going very well. The classes are definitely moving at a better pace for me to understand the material more. I agree about the electives and the core classes. I felt as though I couldn't take like the classes I really wanted to take this senior year, but I feel as though that it's okay because I'm getting more information and more time for the classes, my core classes that I need to take.
Very good. Okay, so last question. So how about advisory? How is that going compared to not, oh, I'm sorry. Well, because this was like a sticking point for me because I knew some kids who used XBlock versus advisory. So how's that going? What's the feedback you're getting from the field?
Okay, so
The field.
my opinion and the field's opinion are the field being the students and the staff, because I know the staff feel the same way. It's a very good idea. It just, obviously it's the first year, so it's not going to be perfect. So it just needs some improvement. But I like the idea of you having the same teacher and building a community. Because I know Dr. Roberson said one of the things in the survey was that people don't feel a sense of community, specifically at Seaholm. So this allows you to build relationships with the student and your specific teacher. So that's a benefit. And also, like, we could do the field day march during advisory, so not everybody had a ride during X block or could attend, so now everybody has the ability to learn the march. And then assemblies, we could do a Constitution Day assembly, which in previous years we'd had to miss class and stuff, now it's just during advisory. But a downside is, I think I've only actually had like 3 days of advisory this year, because it's always, there's a senior level advisory, field day march, Constitution Day, so I'm not frequently in advisory. But I think it is a very good idea.
Sam, I think it's a very good idea. I just think that there are some things that can be changed for it to be better utilized, if I should say. I think that it was, since there's a change between in high school classes, we have an extra class. X-Block was a time we were able to talk to our teachers. And of course, Khan Academy is a good resource, but it's still that help. For me being a senior, I've had 3 years to talk to my teachers at times that I needed them. And now this year, having more core classes, I don't really have a time to talk to them if it's before class, but we only have 5 minutes of passing time. So it's not as helpful as I think it was intended to be, in my opinion.
And that's good. See, it's still early and there may be an opportunity to make changes down the road somewhere. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing onto that? Because we can't visit our teachers. I'm taking 2 math classes, and now that there's not X block, there's not really a good time because teachers don't have to get to school super early, so they don't necessarily want to stay after or before. And passing period, like Kennedy said, is only 5 minutes. So I struggle to be able to find time to talk to my teachers because we have to stay in the room unless it's to go to the bathroom or something. And that's way more enforced this year, which is good, because last year you could kind of just roam.
You're much more articulate than the field member I have at my house, so I appreciate the feedback. I've heard loud and clear about shortened lunch and shortened passing time, so I appreciate your feedback in being a little more articulate than one of your cohorts in my house. Trustee Joseph.
I'd like to add a couple of things, if I may. First, thank you very much. Maybe it would be a good suggestion to add an agenda item to present an opinion from them on a constant basis. Number 2, I would like to just make a point about Dr. Robertson. She works so hard for our district. She answers every email and every phone call and every text. She's an amazing human being. There is no way she doesn't answer anything. She will answer everything, even in the time of need, of when she is struggling through hard time in her personal life. She will still answer. So I resent any remark against Dr. Robertson or any board member for that matter. So I just want to make sure I say that. And I appreciate her very highly. And God bless. And we are so lucky to have this woman to lead the district. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Trustee Joseph.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you. Trustees, anything else before we adjourn?
No.
All right, seeing nothing, we adjourn at 8:45.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Well, you were spot on.
I know, that's so funny. I'm like,